everyone, and welcome to today's video. But before we get started, remember to subscribe, like, and don't forget to be part of this conversation by simply sharing your thoughts in the comment section down below. Now, in today's discussion, that's sure to challenge perspectives and spark conversation. If you've ever questioned the notion of reparations for Black people, then this video is tailor-made for you. Come here, gather here, because this is for you. Now, today we're going to look into a crucial dialogue where a man finds himself confronted after asserting that Black people don't deserve reparations for slavery. Now, this is a statement that raises eyebrows and begs us to ponder who should be held responsible. Like, who should be held responsible? And what does justice truly look like? So stick around as we navigate through these complex questions, aiming to broaden our understanding and foster an open exchange of ideas. For now, check out these videos as he gets schooled after saying this. I will be right back.
You don't deserve reparations for slavery because you never suffered slavery.
A few moments later.
With points. One, you should be in favor of reparations, and I'll tell you why. But first, I totally understand why you're not in favor of reparations. You're a poor man who has failed to achieve any meaningful financial success despite living in a country that was quite literally built for you. So of course you don't believe in privilege because you failed to capitalize on yours. But there's this great quote, rising tides lift all boats. So if you stand side by side and help the descendants of slaves receive reparations, they will stand by you in your fight for pay equity, unionization, and political representation. And you should want Black people on your side because they have more social and cultural capital than any other marginalized group in this country, than any other group, period. In addition to all of that, there's already a precedent for reparations in this country. The former owners of slaves received reparations from the government for their lost property. So when you say don't deserve, it just leads me to believe that you don't know your history.
How do I feel about reparations for Black Americans? I feel that if the government isn't going to settle its debt, there is no hope for this country. Until we reconcile the balance sheet for all the stolen lives, stolen labor, and the fact that this country got to skip all of the growth years to become an economic superpower on the backs of enslaved Black Americans, until we honor the treaties in the sacred land of the indigenous and hold true to the word that we gave, a treaty which is supposed to supersede even the Constitution, there's no hope for unity. America loves to pride itself on this idea that it's a country that keeps its word. Its handshake is as good as its signature on a contract, but our signature on a contract is no good. And until we deal with those things, we will just be stuck microscopically moving the needle towards equity, but we can never get there until those things are done.
How do you feel about reparations for Black people?
Oh my God, it's the first step. It's like a very low bar, I feel like, at this point.
The whole, 40 acres and a mule that then weren't actually ever given, and there was no compensation to any equivalent towards that.
Do I support reparations? Yes. What those reparations look like is of real interest to me.
So I do think there should be something done. I'm not the person to say what that thing is.
Do you know that there is actually a bill before Congress that deals with reparations?
Oh, really? Right now?
Yeah, it's called H.R. 40.
No, I had no idea.
Can you tell us something about the bill that's on the floor now?
It's called H.R. 40. The 40 standing for, 40 acres and a mule that were promised to former enslaved people. It would be to set up a federal reparations commission that would study the legacy of enslavement and the ongoing harms that happen today and come up with proposals for reparations. How would you feel if you knew that that bill has a record number of votes in the House, but Congress won't bring it to the floor for a House vote, though?
Why not? Maybe they're listening. They may not be hearing us.
Unsurprised that it hasn't come to the floor.
I would almost expect it. It would be really disappointing.
It could also come to fruition through executive order, if Joe Biden were to use his executive authority to set up a reparations commission himself. Is that something that you would support?
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I think sometimes the president should exercise that right when he feels like there's an injustice and that's something that he can correct.
He was elected into office by the majority of the population, so he has the right to, and that's what I think the public, our society, would expect.
Already has enough votes. Like, we're so
it's like we're getting close.
It's like almost like teasing a rabbit with a carrot, where you're like, here's the finish line, but it's just they never reach it. You know what I'm saying?
You just said that. Do you think that historical catastrophes must be compensated for?
No.
No.
Okay.
So then, I'm not agreeing or disagreeing.
Yeah.
So then, how come there were groups of people that got compensation then?
How come?
For instance, like Jewish people, Chinese people, Japanese people with the like there were groups of people who got compensated.
I don't know.
So it wasn't fair.
What? Well, I'm talking about like when I think about group, I think about reparations. So I mean, maybe if the people were still alive today, like I don't know, maybe. But like when you said historical, I thought you meant like at the past, not the present.
Yeah, so like in the past, so like people talk about slavery. So in the past, you know, wars happened. In the past, you know, Japanese, but people got compensated for it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And this thing, one of the things I think it's a double-edged sword with a lot of black people actually, because you can double-edge between victimhood and not, and it's like give us our money. It's like, first of all, I don't think reparations is viable. First of all, I don't think any country is going to cripple their economy for a bunch of people. I just don't believe that it's going to happen. However, do I think, given the there's a book, right, called How Europe Underdeveloped Africa. And when you read that book, you realize that the whole Industrial Revolution and stuff like that was started because of the colonization. And you just think, well, if you didn't do that, then you wouldn't be as successful.
So what do you mean by the colonization?
So the colonization of Africa, so both the people and the resources, right? There's a direct correlation between the colonization of Africa and the Industrial Revolution.
Okay.
And so with all the metals and the rubber and all this kind of stuff coming from Africa, it fueled the Industrial Revolution of the West.
Wait, so you're saying like in Africa, when you say colonize, you're saying like did England come in and colonize?
Yeah, like so European, France, Spain, Portugal, England.
And they like enslaved Africans, and that's what you're saying. Okay.
So they enslaved and at least colonized the continent. Okay. So when you colonize a continent and then you take ownership of the resources, you're able to gather those resources together and use them to your own benefit.
Right.
And so you gather those resources, use them to your own benefit, and build up your economy, all the while messing up the economy of that actual country.
Now, it's no secret that there has been a lot of debates on this topic. The idea that black people shouldn't receive reparations for slavery because they aren't the ones who directly suffered is a perspective that merits examination. Now, while it's true that generations have passed since the era of slavery, the repercussions, guys, the repercussions is what we're talking about. They still linger, affecting communities on various levels. Consider this. How do historical injustices manifest in today's society? Are we witnessing a cycle of disadvantage that stems from a legacy of systemic oppression? These questions compel us to explore the lasting impact of slavery and its implications on the present. Moreover, should the responsibility for reparations fall solely on those who directly suffered, or does it extend to a broader acknowledgement of systemic issues that persist today? This conversation challenges us to think beyond individual experiences and consider the collective impact on entire communities. Now, today, the average palm color family has roughly 10 times the amount of wealth as the average black family. Palm color college graduates have over 7 times more wealth than black college graduates. Making the American dream an equitable reality demands the same U.S. government that denied wealth to blacks restore that deferred wealth through reparations to their descendants in the form of, let's say, payments in the amount that will close the black palm color racial wealth divide. Additionally, reparations should come in the form of wealth building opportunities that address racial disparities in education, housing, and business ownership. In 1860, over $3 billion was the value assigned to the physical bodies of enslaved black Americans to be used as free labor and production. Now, this was more money than was invested in factories and railroads combined. In 1861, the value placed on cotton produced by enslaved blacks was $200 $350 million. Slavery enriched palm-color slave owners and their descendants, and it fueled the country's economy while suppressing wealth building for the enslaved. The United States has yet to compensate descendants of enslaved Black Americans for their labor, nor has the federal government atoned for the lost equity from anti-Black housing, transportation, and business policy. Slavery, Jim Crow, segregation, anti-Black practices like redlining, and other discriminatory public policies in criminal justice and education have robbed Black Americans of the opportunities to build wealth defined as assets minus debt afforded to palm-color people. Reparations, a system of redress for egregious injustices, are not foreign to the United States. Native Americans have received land and billions of dollars for various benefits and programs for being forcibly pushed out from their native land. For Japanese Americans, $1.5 billion was paid to those who were interned during World War II. Additionally, the United States, via the Marshall Plan, helped to ensure that Jews received reparations for the Holocaust, including making various investments over time. In 1952, West Germany agreed to pay $3.45 billion to host survivors. Now, Black Americans are the only group that has not received reparations for state-sanctioned racial discrimination, while slavery afforded some palm-color families the ability to accrue tremendous wealth. And we must note that American slavery was particularly brutal. About 15% of the enslaved sheep from Western Africa got unalived during transport. The enslaved were regularly beaten and unalived for frivolous infractions. Slavery also disrupted families, as 1 in 3 marriages were split up and 1 in 5 children were separated from their parents. The case for reparations can be made on economic, social, and moral grounds. The United States had multiple opportunities to atone for slavery, each a missed chance to make the American dream a reality, but has yet to undertake significant action. Now, the statement that Black Americans don't deserve reparations because they aren't the ones who directly suffered from slavery is a viewpoint that needs careful scrutiny. While it's important to respect diverse opinions, it's equally crucial to challenge ideas that may lack a comprehensive understanding of historical and societal dynamics. Firstly, the impact of slavery extends far beyond the individuals who directly experienced it. The ripple effects of systemic oppression, discrimination, and economic disparities persist through generations, creating a cycle of disadvantage that can't be ignored. So dismissing the need for reparations oversimplifies the complex and enduring consequences of historical injustices. Secondly, the call for reparations isn't about placing blame on individuals today, but acknowledging and rectifying systemic wrongs. It's an effort to address the ongoing disparities in wealth, education, and opportunities that disproportionately affect Black communities. By investing in reparations, aim to break the cycle of disadvantage and foster a more equitable society. Attributing reparations solely to those who directly suffered from slavery overlooks the collective responsibility to dismantle systemic inequalities. It's about recognizing that societal structures have perpetuated disparities, and reparations serve as a step towards dismantling these structures. We have finally come to the end of the video. What do you, my viewers, have to say about this? Share your comments in the comment section down below. Thank you for watching, and see you in my next video.